welcome to Everyday Imperfect, the podcast for busy people with imperfect faith. I'm Tabatha, pastor's wife, mom, author, speaker, and a very imperfect believer in Jesus. I've had to wrestle through some pretty dark times in my faith, all while keeping that mask of perfection in place. Till finally I realized that having faith doesn't mean that you don't have doubts or questions, and that doesn't make us less of a Christian either. It means we are a Christian with questions. And you know what? It's okay to have imperfect faith. We have a perfect God. So if your faith needs a little boost today, crank those AirPods up and borrow a cup of imperfect faith from us today. Let's go. Hey sis, welcome back to Everyday Imperfect. We are continuing our stewardship series, learning how to faithfully care for what God has already placed in our hands. Last time we talked about stewarding our health, and I've heard from several of you talking about how much of a blessing it was, and let me tell you, it's a blessing just to get those thoughts out. Of course, Jerry and I are nowhere near perfect with any of these topics that we're going to be talking about, but we really enjoy doing stuff like this and just being a little bit more real in this season God has us in. But today we're moving into something that I feel like is just as powerful: stewarding our time, not our productivity, not our packed calendars, not our to-do lists, our time, because how we spend our days is how we spend our lives. And just a little side note here, it is not lost on me that I am a couple of weeks delayed in recording this because time has so gotten away from us with our church's annual women's retreat that we had, and the first baptism service I got to officiate, such a blessing to be a part of, and so many other things in our personal lives that are going on. It's not lost on me. It's pretty stinking ironic that my time is not, in some ways, I feel like it's not been stewarded as well. But then part of the question I also have is, could I have been putting parameters on my time that was not what God had intended for my time? Because obviously I was doing the Lord's work. So there's a fine line to be walked there, and we're going to be talking maybe a little bit about that, but we're also going to be talking about some other things today. And I'm really, really glad that you chose to join us again today while we're talking about stewarding or tending the time that God gives us. So let's talk about reframing time. Somewhere along the way, busy became a badge of honor. And please know I am talking to myself when I read that thought to you. We started wearing exhaustion like proof of importance. We started equating availability with value. We started believing that rest had to be earned. But Psalm 90 verse 12 says, "Teach us to realize the brevity or shortness of life so that we may grow in wisdom." See, wisdom isn't doing more. Wisdom is doing what matters on purpose. Stewarding your time, tending your time, is more like saying, my life is sacred. The time that I have on this earth is set apart. My energy is limited, so I need to put that energy to where it needs to go. My attention is valuable, and I refuse to spend what is holy, what the Lord has given me, on what is hollow, just time wasters. Now, we could go down a rabbit hole with that. Please know that I'm not saying that you can't sit down and read a good book on a rainy day or anything like that, but we just have to be intentional about our productivity in the time that He's given us. So that kind of leads us into this next little session, talking about honesty, personal honesty. Y'all, I'm just going to be real with you guys for a minute. I can totally be a yes person. That's just naturally who I am. I like to call myself a recovering perfectionist for other reasons, but I also kind of feel like I'm a recovering peacemaker. Like, I don't like to rock the boat a lot, and so I will say, yes, I'll do something to keep people from getting upset about it not getting done, even though I may not have the bandwidth to handle it. So for years, I've realized that naturally being a yes person means I'm saying yes to helping, yes to serving, yes to fixing, yes to one more thing on my calendar. And before I know it, I am maxed out. I become short-tempered, usually with the people I love most. Creatively dry. Have you ever been to that point like you just cannot make your brain think? And spiritually quiet, y'all. It really, really does affect us in every aspect whenever you start to get burned out. And this is not because God gives me too much, not by any stretch, but it's because I gave too much of away of myself without asking Him, without just having a conversation with Him to say, hey, Lord, how should I go about doing this? Are you calling me to take care of this? Is this something that you have placed in my path for a reason? Is this something you have placed in my path? See, the problem is giving too much of me away without asking Him means it's not stewardship anymore. It's really just leaking. Basically, you're a bucket with a hole in it because God is giving you this finite amount of time. Think of that as your water in that bucket. And because you keep saying yes and keep saying yes, you're placing these drill holes in the bucket that, eventually there's just not going to be any more time left, any more healthy time to get done what God really wants you to get done. I'm learning too that stewardship doesn't mean doing less because you're lazy. It means doing less so you can do what matters well. Quick break, because if you struggle with anxiety, this one's for you. I created the habit, interrupting anxiety, after walking through a season where worry honestly felt louder than peace. It's a 21-day journey that helps you replace anxious spirals with God's truth, His gratitude, and steady focus, one day at a time. Not pressure, not perfection, just progress. If you're tired of anxiety calling the shots, this might be your next step. You can find it on Amazon or check the show notes for the link. Let's get back to today's conversation. Stewardship doesn't mean doing less because you're lazy. It means doing less so you can do what matters well. It means building rest into your week. We call that Sabbath. Leaving margin in your schedule. Saying no without explaining yourself. As some friends of mine tell each other quite a bit, no is a complete sentence. You do not have to say why. All you have to say is, no, I can't, or no, I won't. Creating routines that restore you rather than drain you. Protecting your mornings or your nights. Turning off notifications. Letting some things stay undone. See, Jesus was never rushed. He had compassion, but He also had boundaries. There was several times in the Word that it mentions that He withdrew from the crowd. He rested. He prayed. He walked away from the people that were wanting a piece of Him. Now, if the Son of God needs rhythms, I think we need it too. So here's your gentle heart check, sis. Where is your time leaking? Is it social media? Sis, if you have not looked at the screen time counter tracker on your phone, I recommend you do that, and just know it will probably shock the stew out of you. Is your time leaking because you spend so much time people pleasing? Maybe it's because you are overworking yourself. Too many late nights. Constant availability. And I just want to pause here and just talk a little bit about something that I am learning. Again, what I'm sharing as we go through this stewardship series is something I'm learning. It's not something I've conquered. And I'm sharing with you because I know that if I've had to deal with it, if I am having to deal with it, then someone else is needing it too. So when it comes to constant availability, part of my self-imposed job description as a minister, as a friend, as a founding partner mentor for Restore is that I am a helpful person and always available, always there to help my people carry their burdens. And I'm having to learn, in fact, some of this was just this last week, that it's okay to turn the focus aspect of my phone on so that I get less notifications so that I can get done what needs to be gotten done within certain times. It's okay just to leave your phone down. Leave it in the next room if you need to and stop referring to it. It's okay to come and check on your instant messaging app, whether it's WhatsApp or Telegram or iMessages or whatever, to just check on that 2 or 3 times a day rather than being constantly available every time it chimes. It is okay and necessary to place that boundary, because otherwise what winds up happening is I become so distracted by every little chime and ding and whistle of my phone that I don't get done what I need to get done, what my job is, what my calling is, what the task that the Lord has placed in front of me for right then does not get done because I'm so distracted by everybody else's needs. No, there are times you need to be focused. And so I encourage you to do like I'm doing. Learn to turn the notifications off. Learn to turn it on airplane mode if you need to. Set it in a drawer and forget about it until you have to have it. But do something so that part of us that feels so overwhelmed, that's actually probably just our soul, our spirit man asking for space so that we can commune with the Father more freely. Set those restrictions, those boundaries, so that you can have that time to breathe, to communicate with the Father, to do without pressure what He's called you to do. So let me ask you, what would it look like to guard one block of time this week? Maybe one morning, one evening, one lunch break, one Sabbath moment. See, here's the thing is we don't need a whole new life. We need holy boundaries around the one that you already have. And in speaking about Sabbath, there was an episode several weeks ago that I had mentioned about Sabbathing and resting. And I believe it was one that Jerry was on the podcast with me. But I mentioned about learning that it is okay, especially for those of us who are in ministry. It is okay for us not to have a true Sabbath day, because honestly, those are few and far between. But it is not okay for us to completely negate having any Sabbath moments, because for myself and Jerry, there's gonna very rarely be a Sunday that we have nothing to do but go and worship the Lord and come back home and spend time together and not worry about things. There are things to be done. And if you are in ministry, you know that Sunday is the busiest, probably most stressful day of the week. But what we have learned to do is to carve out Sabbath moments within our week. For us, most of the time it's going to be one evening. Sometimes it's Monday, sometimes it's Thursday, where we could just sit down and just be together, play cards. Maybe we're going out to eat, but most of the time we're staying home and just enjoying each other's company and just being in a place where we can rest, not just physically, but mentally rest. So I want to encourage you, maybe there's those of you out there that feel like you're having to go and go and go and go because you're trying to take Sabbath, but you work in ministry somehow. Maybe you're children's church leader or usher or clerk or whatever it is, and you feel like Sunday is your day of Sabbath, but you're really busy that day. Well, honey, just move your day of Sabbath into moments of Sabbath. Do what you can to give back to the Lord that time. And no, it doesn't have to be a full-on 24-hour day. It might be just a few hours here, a morning walk there. That can be your Sabbath time where you are spending time with the Lord that refocuses your spirit, but also re-energizes and allows your body to rest. Boy, I could talk on that all day. So let's go on. I want to encourage you. You are not selfish for resting. You know the Lord has called us to rest, right? That doesn't mean we spend 24/7 resting, because that's laziness. But what we do is we work and we rest. You can't have one without the other. You can't have one done well without the other. Now, you're not disobedient for slowing down. You're not weak for needing margin. You are human. You are loved. And God has entrusted you with a life worth protecting. So steward, tend, care for your time like it matters, because it does. And as always, my friend, I just want to remind you, it is okay to be imperfect. It's okay to have imperfect faith, because we serve a God who is perfect and patient enough to meet us in our unfinished schedules, our busy calendars, and all of our learning processes, even when I'm sharing them with my podcast audience. He is not asking for perfection from us. He's inviting us into faithfulness. So won't you be a part of that? Won't you allow Him to give you rest, to encourage you to not say yes to everything that crosses your path, and come to Him to know which things to say yes to and which things to say no to. Steward that time. You're not going to do it perfectly. That's okay. He's going to be perfect for us as we learn. Guys, I hope you have an amazing week, and we will see you next time on Everyday Imperfect.
Hey friend, thank you so much for joining us on today's podcast. Check the show notes for any links and resources we may have mentioned, and please do me a big favor and leave us 5 stars on the podcast platform where you found us. And if you can't give us 5 stars, tell us how we can get those 5 stars. That's how other people can find out about us and the message we're trying to get out, that it's okay for us to be imperfect in our everyday life, because we follow Jesus Christ, who is perfect for us. Also, if you'll go to the Buzzsprout link in the show notes, you can leave me fan mail. That's basically where you tell me what you think about the show and make suggestions for upcoming topics. I can't wait to hear from you. Now, please share this imperfect episode with your imperfect friends, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode releasing soon.